Welcome to the Big House Breakdown Empire Championship Edition. And before we get started, please, I'm your host Vic. By the way, let me introduce. I'm so eager to get to this. I got so much. I'm so excited. We are in the championship game of it all. And before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you get this when we blast off. We are the Big House Breakdown, all things Michigan football all the time. And before we get too deep into it, the Big House Breakdown is brought to you by Redeem Vacations. Bring 5 Michigan fans to the Big House Breakdown show and win a vacation, 4 day, 3 night luxury vacation to a U.S. destination or Caribbean destination near you, courtesy of the Real HD Broadcast Network, where the show comes from, or and Redeem Vacations. And you too can get a certificate just like this one. That's right. They said this one is going to Fiji, and it has $1,000 value. So, and that is would be for your hotel stay. Join us, join us, join us. And then the Big House Breakdown is also brought to you by Total Package Energy. That's right, Olympic tested, people approved. It is an all natural supplement made by great people, uh, coming up with great things to improve our health, all natural ingredients for that 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock work day or busy day crash that all of us kind of get. Um, Total Package Energy. Um, and again, this is the Big House Breakdown. All things Michigan football from the Big House. That's right. A2 is called the Big House, the stadium itself. And this is our championship edition. I am your host, The Vic, and we will get to it like we supposed to do it. So please, 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 please tune in, spread this, like, share, and subscribe. Get all the people involved in what we're doing. Get your questions in. This is a Q&A session also of the Big House Breakdown. We got a great, great, great breakdown. I've invited many, many people you guys can come up to. And if you would like to, you look down below. See down below? Right down there. StreamYard.com, 66TH7B MJ2E. That is the live call letters. You put those above in your URL or your address bar, and I'll see you backstage. I'll pull you up, and you can do it 2 ways. You can do it live with your picture, like I have right here, with my awesome, awesome Michigan hat on, or you can do it via an avatar. You can put something in your place, in your picture, in your stead, and ask your question and rock out regardless of how you look or how you feel. This is a live football sports talk show dedicated to you, because Michigan is in the championship game. That's right, NRG Stadium down in Houston. And this show will be about which team style wins the Natty. Not apostrophe S, but the regular S. I had my producers help me with that. They misspelled. I said, hey, you know, errors are the spice of life. So let's get into that and rock with that regardless. So which team styles wins the big natty? And Michigan is in it. Something that they haven't been in for since 1997, of all things. Um, it's been a long, long time. I was around for the last one, and I was a Michigan fan in this one, and it was so freaking glorious. Go watch my old show, this one here. Michigan wins the Rose Bowl and the reasons why, because I called it. Now, I didn't think it was going to happen in overtime fashion the way it did. Nobody could have predicted that junk, but it was thrilling. It was a game for the ages. And go back and look at my reasons why under the live section in the Big House Breakdown YouTube page or Twitter or Twitch, wherever you can get this done. I'm happy to be on Instagram again. Instagram changed around a bunch of their algorithms and their formats, and I had to catch up and do some really interesting things. And we're back on Instagram again. So, Instagram Nation, show up, Conversation Nation on the Real HD and the Big House Breakdown. Show up, throw your questions in the chat, let us know where you're at, and we will drop it on the show as advertised. And we want everybody who's an A2 fan, A2 crew, get yourselves in here. This is the time for you to cheer, the time for you to appear, the time for what you hold near and dear to be pronounced. Let people know what you about. It's the Big House Breakdown. Um, I know we've all listened to enough crap analysis, right? Um, That's all. That's right. That's all those sports media talk bobblehead dudes, the Clats of the world, the Pates of the world, the ESPNs of the world tell you what Michigan is not capable of doing. Crap analysis. That's right. They don't give you enough X's and O's. They don't tell you enough about rolling coverages. They don't tell you enough about cut splits for receivers and what that means. You will get that all here on the Big House Breakdown. I just won't tell you one team will win over another team. I will give you the how and the why. Tune in. Let's get it going. So, as we get it going, we were here just a few weeks ago. The college football rankings. So, Michigan came out as number one, Washington two, Texas three, and Bama was four, followed by Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Mizzou, Rape State. I don't like those dudes. Illinois, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, LSU, Arizona, and Louisville. And then, of course, on and on and on, you see the rest as they pop up. And the college football playoff finally, for a year, did not disappoint either game. Michigan and Alabama went into overtime, and Texas, uh, Washington went down to the wire. They had themselves an old fashioned shootout, which was cool. And just a quick one on the Bama Michigan game. Um, you could have called that mistake bowl because the way that both teams played was very uncharacteristic. Um, the one thing I didn't like was about how the crap analysis that went on. So I guess we can get right into our ish talking segment in the Big House Breakdown preview. That's right, ish talking. We talk our ish here. We make it known. This is your chance, Michigan fans, to get in, talk your crap, and have the people respond to what you want to do and what you have to say. Um, I'm going to get my prompt up there in 1 second. So, one of the first piece of ish I would like to talk about is the the announcers and that glorious game that was played, and how instead of talking about the great game and the great victory that was played, because there was mistakes on both sides, these bobblehead bubblegum bum announcers on these sports talk shows start talking about all the mistakes that Michigan made, when honestly there was mistakes made on both sides of the football. Um, so yeah, so they were both mistakes made on both sides of the football, but they come out talking about Michigan first. Like Michigan's mistakes were more egregious than Alabama's mistakes. And if you saw that second and third quarter, Bama couldn't snap the football. I think their center was a little. I think Mason Graham was giving him the business as a one or a two technique, and that center could not snap the football properly. And it showed. There was one whole series where I believe they fumbled two, if not three times, just snapping the ball. And as a matter of fact, the last play of the game where, Milrow had opportunity to actually get either score or get in better scoring position, we stopped them because the snap was low. Now you can say, okay, well that really didn't have much to do with Michigan. Au contraire, it did, because if Michigan didn't apply pressure all game long, then of course that wouldn't have been available to that bobbled snap wouldn't have occurred, and then or the poor snap for that matter wouldn't have occurred, and then Michigan wouldn't have won the game in the style that they won. And then, of course, it was so glorious when Michigan ran and Blake Corum closed the game with the jump cut that he is so famous for and put Bama to bed. You know what I mean? Gave him a warm bottle and sent him night night. Um, love that, love that, love that. Please tell us what you think of the Blake Corum last run, the two jump cuts that occurred, the guard play, the old line play, and how that determined the outcome of the game, as it were, and how that may determine the outcome of the game coming up. So let us know. So we're in our ish talking segment, and we want to put that up on the screen. So we're in our ish talking segment, or you could say shit talking, whatever you like. So we would like to let you know. And the reason why I left it blank, usually I have my little write ups and my little talking points on there, but today it's blank because I just want us to have some fun, vibe out as a community of Michigan fans or college football fans, and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, or any college football stuff you would like to talk about. You want to talk about recruiting? You want to talk about the transfer portal? Let's get our shit talk on starting now. We already were going and we will continue. So we were talking about Bama. It's another ish talking point that we can talk about real quick. Let us know in the chat how you feel about what Saban said. I don't know if you guys saw the post that's going all over Twitter and all over some of the other internet formats, but it's quoted that Saban was talking about how Michigan huddled more than any other team that he's seen this season, and how that kind of threw him for a loop, and how that threw off the rhythm of what Nick Saban's coaching staff was used to doing when they, get their calls in per play. So, in other words, when they wanted to match up on defense and when they wanted to match up on offense, we were huddling, and that shook up their structure of how they get their plays in. So, in other words, they were trying to match personnel. So, if we huddled and they couldn't see what our personnel was, they couldn't match personnel, and that put them at a disadvantage. And to me, I think you should be more well prepared. I think you should be more ready to go, more ready to be in the fray of your game plan, rather than just looking at what one team's substitutions and additions or takeaways from personnel impact the game. I think that's poor planning on the part of your man Nick Saban, who's supposed to be a legendary coach, who's supposed to have it all together. He's supposed to be the Santa Claus of college football. He can't do no wrong. Nobody could ever beat him. We beat him, and we're finding out nitty gritty of what's going on. Here's another nitty gritty shit talking moment. The OC and Nick Saban were basically trying to blame Milrow for not handling those poor snaps, even though those snaps were at his ankles. So you're talking about giving a running quarterback a snap at his ankles And I don't care how big Milroe's hands are. If you snapping at his ankles against a Michigan pass rush that already sacked him 4 or 5 times and a half, how is he supposed to be able to turn water into wine that way? You let me know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know where you at. Let us know where you think about that. Do you think it was right that the OC and Nick Saban during the game were throwing Milroe under the bus for bad snaps? Why weren't they getting at their center, asking their center to be better? Why wasn't that the case? And also, little ish talking. Does Michigan get the dragon off its back with the Rose Bowl win of Bama? Now, Klatt tried to throw his weight around. Joe Klatt in his show, he tried to throw his weight around and put that to bed. Is it that easy? If Joe Klatt or Kirk Herbstreit or any of those type of guys say it's over, then the media blitz, the media smear campaign on Michigan is over with cheating. Is that how easy it is? So that might give you a root and an analysis on who actually either created it or perpetuated it, right? Very, very interesting. So we in our ish talking segment, our shit talking segment about the national championship uh playoff series, as it were, because Michigan is in the championship game for all the right reasons. One of the reasons is Michigan's defensive line and offensive line won the day. And if you go back and you look at my video on the Rose Bowl and the final reasons why Michigan will win the Rose Bowl, one of the reasons I said was Michigan flat out was a better unit and they were built to play better on the offensive and the defensive lines. And that came to fruition. You know, we didn't see much of Baby Hope, Kenneth Grant, but we saw a whole lot of Mason Graham. Thanos with the glove was out there raising havoc, busting through that Alabama line, proving what I told you guys about the freshman and the sophomore on that left side of the Bama line would show their youth, their inexperience, and give Michigan ways to be their best in a game where they could be their best in the Rose Bowl. And it showed with the 6, almost 7 sacks and 10 tackles for a loss that were accrued and that were performed by your Michigan Wolverines, right? So we're in our ish talking segment. We're about to move on. Um, let's get into matchups because this is our preview segment, and we're previewing for the natty of it all. Wow, the natty. Michigan is getting ready to play for the natty. That's something. If you've been a Michigan fan like I have, Michigan versus everybody, you will see. And I've been a Michigan fan dating back to the Ricky Powers days. Like, I go that far back with it. That's probably one of the first college football teams I've ever seen play. And it was glorious to see that sunset in the Rose Bowl and see Michigan competing in the way that they did, um, in the form that they did, to defeat Bama and make it to the college football national championship game. So let's go to matchups. That's right, matchups. So you see what I've put here. Um, I will give you my breakdown of each, and I will try to tell you what I think about each position by position, and then tell you what I believe will be the outcome, um, and who I think is the better unit in the game that will play the Rose Bowl. So first, quarterbacks. We got J.J. McCarthy, and we have Michael Penix Jr. Now let's start off talking about Michael Penix Jr. Well, I think personally he should have won the Heisman. Natural passer, transfer from Indiana. Um, I'm not going to brag about his yards on the year. He had a crap ton of yards, multi-thousand-yard receiver throwing, multi touchdown thrower. You know he's good because he has three receivers with more than 1,000 yards apiece between the three of them. And that ball jumps off his hand like a rocket. Smooth, um, works the field, knows how to hit the high lows, knows how to hit the check downs when he needs it to, when he's under pressure. Just a master at the college game, I would say, just a master of field position and knows how to work those angles throwing the football and knows how to pull it down and run it when that is a necessary tactic in the game too. He prefers to throw, but of course he comes from that Indiana spread, so he knows how to run that read and he knows how to move the ball, pulling it down and running with it to advance his team and keep his team on schedule as he's moving them down the field. Um, so he's a runner, he's a thrower, very, very accurate, has a very accurate deep ball, cerebral with what he's doing. And the Washington offensive coordinator, they have a synergy where I'm sure by now they can get things off, get a play off, get a pass off quickly. And I think Michigan is going to be up against a quarterback that can move his offense more fluidly than probably any quarterback that they've seen this season. Um, Ohio State is probably the closest to an offense that they played that even resembles the quarterback, prowess of Michael Penix, and of course with the Ohio State style receivers, you're looking at a very similar bunch, but better. I think they're better. I think Roma Dunze, um, uh, was it Polk, and what's the other cat? Roma Dunze, Polk, and McMillan. Them dudes are nice, and we'll talk about those guys in a minute. Um, so that is Michael Penix. And even though they gave the Heisman to Jaden Daniels, anyone can make an argument to give the Heisman to either one. Um, Now let's flip it to the other side. JJ McCarthy. You could make an argument that he could have been a Heisman finalist. He wouldn't have lasted as much as Daniels or Penix. He wouldn't have got as many votes because it was hate Michigan all year long. But he was in that he could have been in that conversation. And a lot of people don't like to admit this, but McCarthy has the same tools that Penix has as well. As you can see, I gave them even for the quarterback position. And you might be clutching pearls right now. What? Michael Penix is even with JJ McCarthy? Yes, sir. I think they're both skilled passers. I think they both do what they have to do to get the ball down the field. I think they both throw the ball. I like to say flamethrower. You'll hear a lot of announcers say throw the ball on the rope. I think they both can throw the ball on the rope. I think they both can hit those technical back shoulder passes when they want to. I think McCarthy is more of an athlete at the position where Jaden Daniels is more of a passer at the position and wants to be a passer at the position. Whereas McCarthy doesn't mind doing either one if it helps the team win. And I don't think Penix mind doing either one either, but I think JJ is more valuable at it that way for his team and and to win the game. And you'll see a lot. I think you'll see a lot more of that as the game progresses on Monday night. Um, if you don't think I'm being accurate, go back and watch the throw against Nebraska off the helmet to Roman Wilson running on the run. Go back and watch the throw by McCarthy during the East Carolina game. On the run, one step in the air, dime to Roman Wilson in the end zone for a touchdown. Go watch the Michigan State where he split the two DBs in the end zone, throwing to Colston Loveland. Go watch the Ohio State game, where he split the two DBs. He split the nickel and he split the safety, throwing another touchdown to Roman Wilson. Watch those performances throwing the ball by JJ McCarthy, and then also go back and watch some of the runs by him. He has, you know, he has 23 touchdowns, not 23, I'm sorry. Before last game, he had 23 touchdowns on the season throwing the ball, and he has more now. I believe it's 25 touchdowns. Yeah, the touchdown to Roman Wilson, and then the touchdown to Blake Corum made 25. Yeah. So go back, watch that. Let us know that you don't think McCarthy is just a talented passer as Michael Penix, because he is. Go watch those. You tell me what you think. I think JJ has a little more talent than that, because I don't really see, and from my scouting of the Washington team, I don't really see Penix on the center that much. McCarthy's not afraid to get on the center and do that dirty work that a lot of new age spread type of offenses and quarterbacks don't do as much. They don't get under center as much if it's not for victory formation. They want to sit back, be comfortable in that spread shotgun position, and then operate from that purview. So, that's why. And so if you think Penix is better because he throws so much and he has so much production with his receivers, I will challenge you, because I know that McCarthy provides the athleticism at the position that will match the talents of Penix throwing the rock. Let us know. What do you think? Do you think Penix and McCarthy are even talent for talent point? I think so. And in outcomes. Next is the running back position. I don't think we need to argue who has the better backfield. We know it's Michigan. Blake Corum, with the 25 touchdowns on the season, I believe it is. Somebody get in the chat and let me know if I'm being correct. 25 touchdowns, might be 26. All-time Michigan record at touchdowns. Dylan is a good running back. Doesn't mean Dylan for Washington is not a good runner. He's a great runner, as a matter of fact. But he's not better than Blake, the great. Beware of the jump cut. Now, the pinnacle position that I think everybody wants to kind of, revolve around in this matchup is the wide receiver position. And we're going to include tight ends in that too, because of the way that the way and the style that Michigan plays football, especially how they attack from an air concept on their wide receivers. And if you're just tuning in, you are watching the Big House Breakdown, Championship Edition preview with Q&As on deck, and we are talking about the Michigan Washington matchup for the Natty that I'm happy to do. And we're going to get into a segment in a minute, because we got a lot of Q&As that came in from last show, this show, because I asked for many Q&As and you guys did not disappoint. All over social media, we blast off to 5 YouTube channels: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, IG, Mob Crush, Trovo Live, so many places we blast off to. We multi-stream. Get yours in. We are the Michigan Big House Breakdown. Okay, here we go. Back to matchups. So we were on wide receivers. So we're talking about Polk, Roma Dunze, and McMillan, and what they do as a trio, plus their tight end. Let me get his name. I believe his name is Cope or Cup. I forget which way you pronounce that. Cope or Cup. And I will give their receivers the nod over Michigan's receivers, only from a production standpoint, not from an athletic standpoint, and not from a standpoint of team cohesion. I think Michigan matches them in that department, but just from a mere outcome standpoint, and only because, based on analytics, Penix has thrown the ball over 200 times more than JJ McCarthy. Now, why is that? Because Michigan runs the ball. Michigan is talented at running the ball, and they don't need J.J. McCarthy to throw the ball as much. But it showcases these receivers. These receivers are no joke, starting with Roma Dunze. He reminds you of like a T.O. type. He's over 6 feet tall. He's over 200 pounds. He's athletic as hell. He fights for the ball. And there's a national argument on who's better, Roma Dunze or Marvin Harrison Jr. You can take your pick. Let us know in the chat what you think. Who's better, Roma Dunze or Marvin Harrison Jr.? A lot of people would like to say Roma Dunze is better, but all three are dangerous. They remind me of the Ohio State team from not this year, but a year or two ago when they had Jackson Smith and Jigba. They had um, and all of those receivers from Ohio State, all of those Fleming and Stover and all of them had so many yards on that particular season. I believe that was a 2022 season, 2021 season. Ohio State receivers. That's what this group reminds me of, and they've played in a lot of close games. This group, so they're not afraid to go up and fight till the end, scrap for those yards, scrap for those 50-50 balls, and be physical. So that's to their advantage. But hold on, my friends. Our team has some scrappy receivers as well. And our receivers, starting with Roman Wilson, present mismatches or are as formidable, I believe, as any group in the nation. Starting with Roman Wilson, who has 13 touchdowns on the year, I believe, as donning the number one jersey. So he actually, earned that jersey through his um, exploits throughout the year. You guys let us know what you think. Do you think Roman Wilson is the best number one receiver in the nation? Has he caught a lot of 9-route, 8-route type of balls deep over the shoulder? It's pretty spectacular joints. No, but he's very efficient. If there's a scramble drill or JJ's rolling and all of a sudden Roman breaks out with that 4.4 speed and he's giving JJ a target to get the ball to. So I wouldn't sleep on the Michigan wide receivers. And of course, CJ is nobody to sleep on either. He's 6'3" with a wingspan that's ridiculous. And he is our possession receiver that loves to tightrope the sideline and use his length and his catch radius to bring balls in that keep the chains moving. Super invaluable to us. And then super valuable to us. And then we got Colston Loveland, 6'5". He essentially is our third down receiver who creates mismatch against linebackers, DBs, even corners, anybody that you put against him. He can inline block, he can spread you out and line up and catch the ball downfield. I would love to see him catch a fade in the end zone, high point the ball where some of those Washington DBs may not be able to get to it. O line, let's talk about it. I gave the nod to Washington, those 6'5", 6'7" offensive linemen that are tall. They won the Joe Mora Award, and he has time back there. Pat, 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 like my man got an afro. Pat, pat, pat. He love to pat that ball and find those trio of receivers downfield. Thanks to that offensive line. But our offensive line, who has won the Joe Mora Award twice in recent history, are just as good. We feature a different style of ball, i.e., the way this show is put together. The show is put together to see which team's style will win the Natty. Washington's Air Show or Michigan's Smash Mouth football should prevail as we move along. Let's continue with our matchups. Our D line wins the game only because they don't really have the numbers on their D line. They got a lot of pineapple dudes, which I like to call big, thick Hawaiian interior linemen who like to eat up blocks and allow for their defensive ends who stunt and do a lot of what you call motion stunting, where you go from one side to the other side with wide stunts in order to and twists in order to bring pressure. Um, so they don't really have the stats, but Price, their defensive end, has 7 sacks on the year. Doesn't really match up against Michigan, who brings 5 unique pass rushers and 5 unique interior linemen who can sub in, rotate, keep each other fresh, and raise hell. You've seen that versus Ohio State when you've seen Jalen Milroe get sacked 6 or 7 times and 10 tackles for a loss by this Michigan defense. Linebacker, I think our linebackers are even with their linebackers, very capable tacklers on both ends. Um, Junior Colson and Michael Barrett and Mikey Sanderstill is who we feature. And Washington features Tupolier, Fishnu, and Olafishinu, number 4, number 5, and number 11 for Washington. And I would give them an even rating. So let us know. Do you think Michigan linebackers are even with um, Washington linebackers? The only thing our linebackers do better is they play the run better. And I think Texas had some opportunities to put their game away, running the ball and possessing the clock, which they didn't use. Um, and that was all due to the fact that Washington's linebackers and secondary aren't really that great. I give our secondary the edge because I think we're just better in coverage. That Elijah Jackson from Washington is a capable corner, very talented. He was one of the higher recruits in that area that they brought in a year or so ago. But he's not Mikey Sanders still. He's not Will Johnson. He's not of that ilk. Elijah Muhammad has more picks on the year, number 1 for Washington. So look out for those guys. Um, I think Roman Wilson and crew can get an edge on Muhammad and Elijah Jackson. I think that might be the difference in the ball game if we can romance them to sleep with the run game. And then athletically, I think we offer some X factors athletically that if those X factors hit, I don't know that Washington has an answer for them. I think Washington presents their X factors right away. I think those 3 receivers are Washington's X factors, and depending on who has the hot hand, is who's going to become the X factor. I think we line up very well. It's going to be interesting because we have depth and a lot of playing time, real playing time experience this year. They have a lot of production and outcomes from their wide receiver group. So it's going to be interesting whether Michigan matches up with them. I think between Josh Wallace, Will Johnson, and Mikey Sanderstill, we have a match for Roma Dunze, McMillan, and Polk. And athletically, I think we match up better because Colston Loveland is a mismatch. If Donovan Edwards can give us something in the running or the passing game, that's a mismatch. I think Khalil Mullins as a bull in a china shop, he can become a mismatch at times. And I think if we can get JJ running the read off tackle, I think he becomes a mismatch schematically. And if we can get CJ Johnson up the field doing what he did against Ohio State, doing what he did in so many games this year, um, I think he becomes an X factor type of matchup. And then Samaj Morgan. Samaj Morgan, is that quick twitch freshman receiver looking to redeem himself for his poor performance in the Rose Bowl with the championship game. And it would be great if he can give us a couple first downs, a couple big plays, flip the field with his athleticism, maybe even give us a touchdown like he did so many times this season. So that is our matchups on the Big House Breakdown Championship Edition. Now let's go to eye test. So this is where you guys get to contribute. Please comment. Like I said, we're blasting off to 4 or 5 Facebook channels: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Let's go. Eye test. Well, I think in the eye test, I think Michigan wins the eye test as the more complete team. Defensively, Washington struggles a lot, and it has them in a lot of close games. You could say that about Michigan as their schedule got heavier, and we had to play the Penn States, the Marylands, the Ohio States, the Iowas, and the Alabamas of the world. But those particular teams happen to be the teams with the best defenses in college football. So those games are not going to just be cakewalks. Whereas the Pac-10 doesn't really specialize in defense, but the Pac-10 um, has a lot of shootouts. And Washington have been in a lot of close games, i.e. Maryland, not Maryland, i.e. Oregon. Um, Arizona gave them Arizona State, Utah gave them a run. There's a couple of teams that gave them a run and presented some challenges throughout the season. And just the nature of passing the ball, you allow for more clock to burn. And when you allow for more clock to burn, you give the other team more chances for possessions, i.e., more chances to score and move the sticks. And then, of course, the other team has an opportunity to put points on the board. So I think Michigan, with their ability to eat the ball up, boa constrictor, rock the clock using time of possession as their weapon, I think, and then of course, offensively and defensively, Michigan can dominate. And if we can correct some of our special teams error, and we get Tommy Doman, who's Michigan's punter, to give us a couple of great kicks like he's done so many times during the year. We buried Minnesota, we buried Penn State, we buried Ohio State, we buried Maryland in the punt game, we buried Nebraska in the punt game, and forced running quarterbacks into making mistakes because we made them have to drive the field. Um, we definitely want to make Washington drive the field. Um, we don't want those receivers just catching rainbows and lollipops all over the field and moving the ball in 3 or 4 plays into scoring position. We want them to have to work for what they get. And I believe our D line will make them work for what they get, but Michigan wins the eye test as the more complete team because I believe if we can get something more out of our special teams, and I will believe our D line will be the story of the night against Washington's O line. So that is it for our eye test. Let us know on all these channels whether you think Michigan wins the eye test. Let us know. Now, now we're into hot take. What is my hot take on the game? My hot take on the game is our X factors. Because you're getting a whole lot of Blake Corn. You're getting a whole lot of JJ. You're getting a whole lot of Michigan defensive line. You're getting a whole lot of Michigan defensive secondary. You're going to get a whole lot of Washington trio of receivers, Penix, maybe even some run game if Dylan is healthy. So my hot take is the X factors. If we can get production out of Khalil Mullins banging the ball up the middle so that we can have more time of possession. If we get, a strike play from Donovan Edwards downfield, either passing or running the ball, he's a dude that could give you 50 in a flash. So, 60 in a flash and a hot one on the scoreboard, we need one from either him, Samaj Morgan, or Colston Loveland. You can even add AJ Barner to that mix if we can get a fade or a back shoulder throw catch from to Barner that we didn't see coming. I think those things will make the difference in the game. I think those things are things that maybe Washington's defense didn't anticipate having to play against, and it may lead to us being more of a complete team, striking from all kinds of places on the field. And of course, the possession game is going to be super critical. We're going to have to keep Penix off the field, make him feel like he's starving to spin that ball again so that he feels antsy enough to make mistakes. The other hot take I'm going to give, and please chime in with your hot takes, throw them in the comments. I'll put them on the screen and I will let you know what I think of them and we can chop it up. We can go back and forth and see what we can do on the chop up. So here we go. Uh, Time of possession is critical, and Minter's ability to make Penix to hypnotize Penix with mixed coverages. Make him think he's playing man when we're playing zone. Make him think that we're rolling when we're standard. Make him think we're blitzing when we're dropping defensive ends, rushing. We got to throw the entire exotic playbook at this kid. He's super cerebral, but under pressure, let's see if he's cerebral. If he's able to sit back there, pat that ball like it's an afro to throw, then I think we're going to have a long day. It's going to be a shootout. And I think we need to really, really shake him up with some different coverage looks, blitz from the secondary. So he can't just drop back and throw that ball. He feels the heat coming from multiple angles. We can like delay blitz with our linebackers. Uh, uh, what do you call that? Mud rush, muddle rush. All kinds of ways, both past, present, defensive strategies. Throw the kitchen sink at the kid. Have him thinking he doesn't know where the defense is coming from, so he has to play like the Penn State quarterback. Just dump it down, dump it down, dump it down. We want him to play the dump game, like he got mud butt. We want him to dump that ball down, and so that we can keep it in front of us, tackle it, and get them in three and outs all game long. Get them doing a lot of trick plays. Get them running some, you know, um, some, some options, some wide receiver, hot option to wide receivers, all those types of things, just to get the ball up the field because we're taking away what they do best. We want to make them one dimensional by taking the runaway, which we do well. Michigan does that well. But my hot take on it all is Minter needs to throw super looks at Penix, super coverage, mixing up coverage, bracket coverage, rolling coverage, um, utilize our depth as an advantage so that they just can't see where we're coming from and throw in those directions or lead their offense in those ways. Use our depth, bring McBurrows. Is that his name? Yeah, McBurrows off the bench. Um, you know, Keon Sabb, we need him to contribute, and that way we can get Mikey Sanders still involved in the run game. There's a lot of things we can do. We need to throw all those looks at him. Let us know what you think we need to do to stop. What is your hot take on Michigan, Washington in the championship game? Also, I have one point that I wanted to make. Let's see if I remember it. I had it in my gut. And I forgot it that fast, which is fine. We'll get back to it. It'll probably come up in our Q&A segment. Um, so let us know what you think. Let us know what is your hot take on how the Michigan Wolverines. Oh, JJ McCarthy on the getting on the edge in the read option. Doesn't really matter at this point whether JJ McCarthy retains health. We need to run him as much as possible. Alex Orji, we need to get him in the game. So, even if they are getting a run by a Michigan quarterback, you're getting two different styles. Orji is going to bang you as a running quarterback, and while McCarthy is going to speed past you. And then, of course, tactically, all of the motion and all of the shifting needs to throw a lot at this Washington defense. That's pretty gutty. They've been in some pretty close call games. They know how to, when they're in a close call games, buckle down, make plays that are necessary to make, and to move their team into a winning position. So that's my hot take on them. And I kind of rushed through my hot take, believe it or not, simply so I can get to your questions. And let's get those going before I run out of time. We're 50 after. If you rock with me, I'm just going to go right into, we're 50 minutes into the show. I'm going to go right into your question. So here's our question and analysis, question and answer, and a question analysis answer part of the program. Big House Breakdown Championship Edition, breaking down Michigan versus Washington. Who's better? Which style wins without the apostrophe S? The national title. So quick, so care, and this is a kind of an aggregation, an amalgamation, a composite. A lot of questions, though. A lot of questions. So we got to get to them. So let's run fast. Care Bear from Twitch asks, "Do you think it's a mistake if Bryce Underwood picks LSU today instead of Michigan?" Wow, good question, man. Good question. Do I think um it's a mistake if Bryce Underwood picks LSU instead of Michigan? Um, and so I think it's a matter of how you want to cook your grits. How do you want to learn and develop as a quarterback? I think Michigan gives you more of a pro style approach to the quarterback position. I'll keep the question back up for a minute. I think Michigan gives you more of a pro style approach to the position, whereas LSU gives you more of a college football spread approach to playing a college quarterback position. Um, you may get more attention media wise for being at LSU if your dreams are to win the Heisman. But I think if your dreams are to win a national championship, you may have a better chance playing for Michigan. So it all depends on do now as a Michigan fan, do I think Bryce Underwood is making a mistake? Yes. Yes, because I think from a strength and conditioning standpoint, he's gonna get better developed strength and conditioning wise at Michigan rather than at LSU. All right, let's keep it moving. Michigan Boa from Instagram asks, "Will the Don make a splash play in the title game?" I sure hope so. I hope the hell so. He's long overdue. The defense that Washington um, kind of offers allows for that. There's plenty of opportunities to make splash plays that way. And with Donovan's speed, if we can get him actually executing well, catching the ball, running the ball, and we're executing up front to get him in space, because that's what Donovan needs. Donovan needs to flash and splash the way that Donovan needs to. He needs to be in space. Either he needs to have the hole open up so he can run right through it, or he needs to be in space with the ball or in passing fray with the ball where he's open and he can get catch those deep routes and so on. So he's a mismatch nightmare, but yeah, I think he will. I don't know if it'll determine the outcome of the game, but I think we'll see one or two splash joints from the Don. Okay. Tender 88 from Facebook asks, "Do you think Samaj Morgan will return to form versus Washington?" Yeah, I do. I think he's starving to redeem himself from the first game. I just don't want him to be I don't want him to press. I don't want him to like get so caught up in himself and trying to, do better than he did than the Rose Bowl that he makes another type of mistake. I think they don't have to. I don't if I was Michigan, I wouldn't put him as a punt returner or a kick returner. I would take that pressure off of him. I would leave him as a receiver and a gadget player and where his quick twitch can kind of be an X factor within the scheme of the game plan offensively. So yeah, I think he'll do great if they put him there. If they put him at returner, I think he might clam up a little bit, get a little nervous, and we might even see a return to what happened last game. So I wouldn't really even put him there. If I was Michigan, I would put Donovan Edwards or even Roman Wilson as our kick returner, both kickoff and punt returner. But to answer your question, yeah, Tender, I do think that Samaj Morgan will get a quick hit play and return the form. Yes, and I hope that just Sharon Moore gives him the opportunity to do a quick hitter, and maybe even some sort of RPO type of style play where he can get a quick hit pass and do his thing. Dragon82 from Instagram asks, which Joe Mora winning line wins the battle in the chip game? Which Joe Mora award winning line wins the battle? Michigan or Washington? I'm assuming that's the question you have. Dragon 82. A2, Dragon A2. I love that name. That's kind of hot. I hope you're talking about the big house. So I think the Joe Mora award winning line that's going to seize the day will be Michigan's. Why? Because I think we're going to see a lot of run game. I don't think Harbaugh is going to take a chance. I think if we have an opportunity to dominate this um, Washington defensive line, we're going to do it. They're very susceptible to pin and pull. They're very susceptible to duo. I seen a crap ton watching Texas, watching Oregon, watching Arizona. So many of the games that Washington played, they're very susceptible to duo, pin and pull, um, read. They're susceptible to a lot of things. They don't play the run very well. So I think the Joe Mora winning line that shows up and wins the battle will be Michigan's. Yes, because I think we haven't lost a step with Barnhart at guard. Trente Jones is just as athletic at tackle. He's really doing well at tackle. I think he took a step last game, and he is. I think we're ready to go with that. And then if we can put Miles Henson in our jumbo package and run that, I think we're doing well and we can dominate that matchup. All right. Sonny Mays from Trovo asks, which set of wide receiver are better, Ohio State's or Washington's? Do we match up well with those Washington dudes? Yeah. I think we do match up well with Washington. Only at the third corner, which is Wallace. Um, it might be a little shaky, but then we might see McBurrows in spot duty there. We may even see Makari Page come down and line up in the slot and help us out there. So I think we match up well with those receivers. We got to be very hands on with those dudes, meaning we can't give them free releases. And we also have to we got to hit those dudes too, man. Just like we did versus Ohio State when we hit Emeka Ibuka. We really didn't see much more out of him after that hit that what's his name? Quentin Johnson put on Emeka Ibuka after that hit, and after the hit on um the running back from Ohio State, from Mikey Sanders still, we didn't see much more production out of that either. So I think we match up well. I think Washington has a better scheme for their receivers, which is why they do better. And the lack of defense in the Pac-10 has allowed their receivers to gaudy up and really expand their stats over the season to where all three of those receivers are over 1,000 yards. Um, I think Ohio State gives us an opportunity to have a good practice, if you will, for what we're going to see from Washington. Yeah, I do. I think Marvin Harrison gives us a really good um, idea of what we're going to see from Roma Dunze. I think Fleming and Emeka Ibuka give us a good example of what we're going to see from Polk and McMillan. And if we can get a lot from our defensive line, which we should, um, because their center, Washington center, can be challenged, and also he might be a weak link, and also their not just their center, but their right tackle is a sophomore, Rosengarten. He can be challenged as well. Um, and we should put different types of our D line on those dudes. Like we should put, you know, oh man, I'm forgetting all my people right now. We should put Derek Moore, and we should also put Josiah Stewart on him as speed rushers, and then turn around and give him McGregor as a box defensive end. And that way you get different ways and different speeds that you're having to deal with. And it might put those guys on roller skates, especially that center. If we could get Harrell up the middle on that stunt that he does with Jenkins, that twist that they do, if we can get that going on that center, we may get some up the middle pressure. And that up the middle pressure is going to be critical. It really is, because that is what speeds up the clock on Michael Penix. He's going to have to hit the check down if we're getting defensive linemen right up the gut in his face right away. And then, of course, if our corners can keep our corners and secondary and linebackers keep men in front of them, tackle them before the stakes, I think we do a good job with that. But let's keep it going because we got mad questions. Will from Facebook asks, will Michigan try to get too cute with his play calling and have it bite us in the butt during the game? I sure don't hope so. I sure hope that we get all of that flea flicker nonsense out of our system, um, because sometimes it doesn't work based on the front you're playing. Sometimes they're athletic and they can get to you fast. Sometimes that pitch and pass, that flea flicker, that toss and pass doesn't always translate the way it does. And let me tell you something: these teams scout Michigan just like we scout them, and they've seen Michigan do this stuff all season long. So why would we think that they don't know that that might be something that's coming and not react to it well and keep their people downfield? And then not only are we risking a lot in the backfield, but we're not gaining a lot out of something like that. So it just translates into this really big risk that Michigan may not be able to afford. Possessions are going to be critical in this game. So you want whatever team can get extra possessions, turnovers. Um, Michigan can't afford to give the ball up being too cute. And we need to force Washington to turn the ball over either via interceptions or fumbles. Let's get to the next one. Big Mex from Twitter ask, does Michigan have the players and the tools to slow down a panic style Washington offense? Good question. I think we do. I think we even have the scheme to do it. One of the points that I made in my last video, my Rose Bowl, the reasons why Michigan was going to win the Rose Bowl, and final reasons why, was Harbaugh's coaching edge. I think Harbaugh has built his defense the same way that the Baltimore Ravens has built their defense. Big up front, disruptive up front, speed up front, with really great coverage in the secondary and players in the secondary that you can mismatch. Now that is going to be the coup de grace, the a la carte of the game, because I love the way that Michigan uses Mike Sanders still. So I think he's the X factor from our secondary, because you can either line him up as a nickel, you can line him up as a boundary corner, or you can line him up as a backer and blitz him. Um, or you can put him as a boundary corner and then blitz Will Johnson. And they did that versus Bama. And it's not that Will Johnson got there, but he created a lot of pressure. And sometimes pressure is just as valuable as the sack. Because if you don't know where the pressure is coming from, it speeds up the clock, and we need to speed up Michael Penix and his clock, either by time of possession or by rushing and influencing the way that he throws the ball and who he throws the ball to by doing that. So yeah, do I think we match up well? Yes, we match up well with that offense, and I think that Mentor and his pro style scheme, if in fact they can borrow a little more from that Ravens um, playbook, defensive playbook, and throw some different looks at him, some roll some coverages, have some cover six going, some cover four bracket, some cover two bracket. I think roll some three, roll some two. I think we have some opportunities to throw some looks at him that maybe he hasn't seen from some West Coast teams this year, and make some, get some turnovers out of that. Blue Dog from Twitch asks, how come Roman Wilson is so slept on? How come Roman Wilson is so slept on? Yeah, yeah. How come Roman Wilson is so slept on? He has more TDs than the wide receiver. Sometimes he has more TDs than the wide receivers Michigan plays against, but media believes the opposition is better. Well, that's just Michigan hate. Um, yeah, Roman Wilson had more touchdowns than the Alabama receivers. Um, I think Curtin only had 7 when Roman Wilson had 13 or 12 on the year. Roman Wilson is a baller. Just look at the catches that he made all year, both easy and hard, both with double coverage and single coverage, both in scramble drills and on schedule with the game plan. Roman Wilson is a dog. And if anybody takes him first round in the draft, they will be getting a really good receiver that you can either make as your number one or your third down receiver that runs a 4-3, that if he can get some yak on you, night. He, I love Roman Wilson. I think he's going to show up in this game and do some great things. Um, and I think he's slept on because we're a running team. And college football wants to be spread. College football wants to be wide open. And Michigan really doesn't specialize in that. We'll spread you out just to run the ball. That's kind of our ID. And Roman Wilson benefits off the deep play action and the fact that JJ is such a skilled thrower. Um, but yeah, he's a slept on dude, but he's a dog. And like yourself, Blue Dog. And I can't wait to see him get busy in the championship game versus Elijah Jackson. Not Elijah, yeah, Elijah Jackson or Muhammad. All right. Kefa, Kifa or Kefa from Facebook says, do you think winning a title during this era will mean less compared to the new playoff era winners? New playoff era winners. Oh, okay. You're talking about the new playoff format, the 12 team play. Yeah. Okay. Let us know what y'all think, man. Let us know. You guys can answer these. Okay, we got 2 comments. Let's see. Uh Hey, Michigan football rant. Hell yeah. Hey man, jump in, man. Jump in this joint, man. There's the link below, man. 666TH 7BMJ2E. Jump in, man. Um, yeah, I got somebody offering me promotion for my channel. We'll talk about it, man. Thanks for the promotional hit. I appreciate it. But Kefa asks, let me read the question again. Do you think winning a title during this era will mean less compared to the new playoff era winners? Well, it's college football, sexy way of entering the 21st century. You know what I mean? So I think they'll do their best to advertise and promote it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. Um, do I think like if Michigan wins the title, if and when Michigan wins the title, will it mean more now than it does for the new winners? I think you're gonna probably have to compare the teams and compare the way that they won and who they went up against, and kind of statistically and the ratio of competitiveness within the 14 format or the 12-team format. So of course the 12-team format is going to be more competitive, but the 4-team format might feature more of the better offensive and defensive lines because those are the ones that make it to the final 4 of it all. So let me sum up with the answer. Yes, I do think that they'll try to promote like the new champions of the 12 team playoff era are better because they're, featuring more teams that they have to play against in the gauntlet of the playoff system. But you're going to have to compare the way that each team won and how they won to make that determination. Crunch lover, okay. Crunch lover. Crunch lover from Twitch asks, what are Michigan's X factors in this title game? I think I went over it a little bit in the onset, which I think are, of course, Donovan Edwards. Man, listen, if we could get in, and can somebody wind his back, like get behind him and like ding, 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 and wind his, put a battery, make sure the Duracell battery in his back is firmly in place and he's wound up so he's ready to go. Donovan Edwards, Samaj Morgan, Colston Loveland, uh, Khalil Mullins, AJ Bonner. If we can get AJ Bonner on that fade in the end zone, like we tried to do versus Maryland, I think we have something there. Our defensive line, because a lot of people still don't try to give our defensive line a credit for being flipping the field how they and when they need to. Our depth is our X factor. People like Quentin Johnson and Josh Wallace, who has sticky hands, so he'll make a play every once in a while that you don't think he's gonna make. He may make that play. He has a lot of experience playing the position. If we can get our ability to be a turnover machine, may be an X factor in the game, and I sure hope it shows up. It showed up once during the Bama game, the Rose Bowl, but it didn't show up as much as we would have liked it to. I would have loved to see one or two of those sacks or one of those tackles for a loss be a fumble where one of us could have scooped and scored it. That would be awesome. If we could get, Josiah Stewart or Brooks to come off the edge and get us a strip sack fumble and one of us pick it up and run it in, that would be crazy. Or we can get Mikey Barrett, in coverage, getting a pick underneath or something, playing hook the curl. I think those things are X factors in the game. Great question. Hardcore Wolverine, and I told you we had a lot of questions, so stick with us. Please answer. Put your comments and questions in. Let us know what you think. Hardcore Wolverine, love that name. That's dope. Hardcore Wolverine from Twitch asks, how much do you think time of possession will factor into this game? I think that's a weapon for Michigan. I think time of possession is the ultimate weapon. And I think Washington knows that. And I think we'll see more up tempo from them because of it. They don't want to give us that ball. And if they are going to give us the ball, I think they want to do it after they score because they got us off kilter and we're not able to sub like we want and get the defensive line rotation like we want, get our subs in both in the secondary and on our defensive line and make those sort of impacts in the game like we want. I think we may see some up tempo that way from Washington. If I would try it in a couple series just to have Michigan off balance. And I hope Michigan is practicing for that. I hope Michigan is practicing for up tempo. But yeah, of course, that's our whole game. I hope, we ran the game we ran the ball versus Rutgers close to 50 times. We ran the ball. And I think we're going to see a huge number of, rushing attempts in this game. Mullings, Edwards, Corum, we'll see them all banging that ball, banging that ball, banging that ball at that small Washington defensive line. Also, that helps us to take Bryce out of his, so that Bryce can't dig his heels in as a defensive end for Washington and just blast upfield trying to sack JJ. He has to work against a run front or against a run scheme that tires him out. And I believe that's one of the reasons we won the Bama game because we tired out Dallas Turner running the ball. I do think time of possession will be big, But I think Washington has a really good offensive coordinator, and they'll plan for that. They'll plan to keep Michigan off kilter with that. It'll just be how effective are our base players versus their base players, so that they can't go up tempo as much as they want. We got Tippy. Tippy from Twitter asks, will Michigan be able to scheme up anything our DBs haven't seen already this year? Or will we scheme up a better D? Yeah, that goes back to my hot take. Yeah, I think that, Jesse Minter is in the he's the chef he's over the pot cooking, and he's gonna cook up some mouth watering coverages for Penix to look at. And while Penix is patting that ball, waiting to get somebody to come open, I think that, our rush will be giving him a lot, will be speeding up his clock. And no, I don't think that we'll see anything that Ohio State or Penn State or Maryland didn't throw at us already. Um, I just think that maybe Washington's receivers are a lot more physical that way. But between Mikey as a physical cover guy, Rod Moore as a physical cover guy, Makari Page as a physical cover guy, Josh Wallace as a physical cover guy, Will Johnson as a tech guy, I think we match up well with them. And it'll be a nice chess match to watch. I'm telling you, if you want to see a chess match, that's the chess match of the game. Jesse Minter's coverage schemes versus Washington's offensive playbook. That's going to be really good. And their ability to adjust, or whoever's ability to adjust. I'm trusting Michigan's ability to adjust at halftime to what Washington throws at us. Um, the 50-50 balls will tell the game. Ready Whip, Ready Whip. Okay, Ready Whip from Twitter asks, will Michigan be able to rely on our kicking game as a weapon against this game? I'll read it again. Will Michigan be able to rely on our kicking game as a weapon again this game? Yes, I think so. I think that's Harbaugh's, that's Harbaugh's baby. He's a stickler for special teams, and I'm sure he wasn't happy with what he saw last game out of our special teams. Like I told you, I would put Roman Wilson in as kick returner, and I would just have him fair catch everything. Because I'm sure Washington has a pretty good coverage unit. And just so that we don't fumble the ball, and just so that, we're making sure that we're not making errors, punt returning and kick returning. And I'm sure the PAT team, I'm sure he's going to oversee a part of the practice where our PAT team is doing their thing, just to make sure that they're, catching their catch up, their setup, their speed to kick PATs is where it needs to be. Our ability to catch the PAT is where it needs to be. All those things are on target and being consistent. If I know Jim, he's going to make sure those things are on point. There is no coming back from this game. Michigan spent over 2 decades trying to get back here. He'll make sure our special teams will be ready to go. If Tommy Doman can give us some coffin corner, dead leg kicks and pin Washington deep, and we can take advantage of the pass rush that we have against Washington, that will also be a great weapon in the kicking game. Player Michigan 56, again from Twitter, asks, who is better, JJ or Penix? Whose quarterback play impacts the game more? Yo, please. This is an existential question, because there's no right or wrong to this, but I want you guys to chime in. Y'all are watching. We are everywhere right now. We are blasting off to 15 channels. Get in here. Let us know. Michigan football rant. Come on, man. Let us know. Who is better, Penix or JJ? That's the existential question of the season. And who will impact the game more? I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's going to be JJ. I think JJ just does more. If somebody's going to roll out and pitch the ball in some sort of wild cowboy way to make a play, I think that's going to come from JJ. I don't know if that's going to come from Penix. But can Penix pull it down and run the ball when he needs to? Hey, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I got like a little, wet dream of what happens in this game, right? No homo. I want them to put Penix out of the game. Hey, I want one of our D line to come through, put the smack down. It could even be a linebacker too, and shake Penix up. He don't have to lead a game. I don't want nobody hurt, but I want him shaking up. I want him off rhythm. And who do I think is better? Let us know, man. Let me see if we got some comments in the chat over this. No comments. Okay, go. Who do I think is better, JJ or Penix? Whew, man, they've had a season of JJ's made some throws, man. I want to say Penix because of all of the production. I really do. That's production, man. Like if he could rip his chest open and show his superhero outfit underneath, it's gonna be Penix because he's made all the plays from the quarterback position. But he's played in a division that doesn't specialize in defense. Pac-10 just never has. JJ has, and he's made some really great throws. Like I told you, the throw on the run, the jump throw versus East Carolina, the helmet catch throw versus Nebraska, the throw between two defenders, Michigan State, the throw against Ohio State threading two defenders, the throw falling backwards versus Alabama to Roman Wilson, the quick the laser beam throw versus Bama to Blake Corum out of the backfield. JJ just been diming it all year long, man. I like to say flamethrowers. I love JJ's game better than I like JJ's games better than Penix's game. And it just depends on what type of football you like better. Who do you like seeing the throw? Who do you like? How do you like the ball being thrown? Do you like the athletic style throws, or do you like the, you know, drop 3, drop 5, and lollipop the ball all over the field? Which one do you like better? I like the athletic throws. I like to see, you extend the play, Ben Roethlisberger, and then hit a guy on a dime, and the game be the game and the play be extended and be a lot more glorious of a play than you originally anticipated. And I think the quarterback that does that more is JJ. I think JJ is the one from that, and also with that read option, if we lull him to sleep banging up the middle, and then JJ pulls that ball and hits that read outside or that power QB run, and even does some things up the middle, I think you're going to see the athletic edge in the game impact coming more from JJ's position than anyone else. So we're an hour and 22 minutes into this really nice preview. Please like, share, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications for when the Big House Breakdown comes to you. We have some really unique stuff coming up this year for the show. We have some really unique guests coming up for the show. We have some NFL style guests coming up for the show this year. We got an old Jets receiver that we might get on here. We got an old Jets and Giants safety that we might get on here. We have an old Bills linebacker that we might get on here. We have an old Carolina Panthers offensive lineman that may come on the Big House Breakdown to help us out with some analysis. So please, please, please get involved with the Big House Breakdown. Turn on those notifications and support Cash App $ The Real HD Show. Let's round off these questions because we're almost at a hour and a half show. Vinny asked, will JJ be featured more as a runner in this game? I sure hope so. We ain't got nothing to lose. It's the last game. So even if he bangs around, have him bang around. But what I don't want to be featured is that sloppy play from JJ when he starts running, like what happened in the beginning of the Rose Bowl and in that one game when JJ throws those 3 picks. Running quarterbacks can often make a lot of mistakes under pressure, and tending to do one thing and do something else, those things often turn into these, crazy, unpredictable, RG3 has done it, Mike Vick has done it, McNabb. I mean, you can go down the line, Cunningham. They're great when they're great running the ball, and when they're not great running the ball, they all look like, why would you do that, McNair? You know. So I sure hope he runs effectively. This is what I'm wishing for him. I'm wishing he has an effective game running the ball. I wishing that he makes an impact running the ball, and I hope he's smart running the football. Corny Blue from Twitter asks, "What surprise player from either team will show up in this title game?" Um, I don't know. I would love the Don to make a strike, splash, flash, big play in the game. I think he has one in him. I think Khalil Mullings may be the player that really impacts this game a little bit more because of his bully ball style of running the ball. That's just a bit different. The reason why I love Michigan's run game is because Blake gives you a mastery of not only the end zone way to score, but he also gives you a mastery of running the ball with the jump cut and his toughness inside. Donovan gives you a really great flash in the pan type of change up way of running the ball, but he also gives you that pass element that you need that moves the chains. And Khalil Mullins gives you that bully bang ball because he's 235, 240. And if he takes care of that football, he's a load to bring down. Different, and that's gonna hit you differently. It's gonna hit different than Blake running the ball. When Khalil Mullins falls forward, you feel it. Whereas Blake Corum has to tough out those 4 or 5 yards. And then when those elbows start stinging and those forearms start stinging and those hands and those knuckles start stinging because we've ran the ball 30 or 40 times in a game, that may make the difference with a small defensive line like Washington offers. Big Blue from Facebook asks, "Dang, I got a lot of questions tonight. I told y'all, what statement does Michigan title win make to college football overall?" I hope it's a big middle finger to all of college football, the media, the AP press, all of it. When we win, I hope it's a big middle finger that the whole Washington team, the whole Michigan team lifts in the air while they're taking that trophy. I know they won't do that, but I hope it is. I hope so because they deserve to raise that middle finger. They really do. For what the media and the talking bobbleheads on the sports talk shows and the overall coaches of the college football has put Michigan through this year with this Spygate coup d'etat that they were trying to create over the course of the season was just ridiculous. And I think winning would absolutely make a statement. So let's keep it pushing. Is that it? Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So if you guys have any answers or you guys want to contribute to our question and answer period, please get it in now. Um, because we're about to end the Big House breakdown. And I'm going to give my prediction. And please give your prediction and your reasons why you think Michigan will win or lose the national championship game. So, which style do I think wins the national championship game? I believe it's Michigan's. Michigan style wins the championship game. Let me do this real quick because I think we're frozen. Typical StreamYard. So give me 30 seconds to reload and come back to you guys, and I will continue. Um, we're back. Thank you guys for hanging in there. I hope that wasn't too long. Um, and we were talking about who's what team style wins without the apostrophe as the Natty. Um, whose team style do I believe wins the Natty? I think Michigan. I think Michigan style wins the Natty. Why? Because I think Harbaugh is going to be stubborn enough to run the ball like crazy. He's going to run the ball like crazy. I think we're going to have over 30 attempts at banging the ball, whether we get one in a cloud of dust or 15 in a cloud of dust or JJ in a cloud of dust. Khalil in a cloud of dust, Donovan, Blake. I think we're going to run the football. I think we're going to see a lot of play action. Uh, I think Washington is going to take their shots. Any, any part of the within either team, any teams that can add to their possessions is going to be a big deal within the structure of the game. Um, so if Michigan can do that via turnover, or Washington can do that via um, turnover, I hope we're not turning over the ball because that would be a bad day for Michigan. Turning over the rock would be a bad look for us. Um, so Voldemort, let's get that out of here. No turning over the ball. Um, I think Michigan style reigns supreme because it's easier to execute. It takes so much to set up a vaunted pass attack. Now, uh, Washington does it better than most teams, which is why they are where they are. I'm not taking nothing away from them. I think they're fully battle tested and they're ready to go and they're ready to exert their will with the passing attack. But just like Giants Bills or Giants Patriots, if you bang around the receivers, if you limit their possessions running the ball, you attack time of possession, you become a boa constrictor like so many call Michigan, and you master things in that regard. Um, I think you could do a pretty good job of keeping the ball away from Penix, mastering and controlling the game. And I think our offensive line is built to do that very thing. And I think you make it easy on our offensive line when you do that. Because they just love to root hog, put their knuckles in the dirt, bang, and control the clock running the ball, whether it's 3, 5, 10, 15, or a touchdown. We love to bang, bang, bang. And we can use our depth. We can get in our jumbo packages. Our style wins the game. I see Michigan winning this game by at least 10. I think Michigan wins this game by 10. If we get a turnover, we win this game by 13-17. Because I think Michigan has seen this style of play before, and I think we're equipped to challenge it, both coverage wise and depth wise with our defensive line. I think we're suited to get this done. Let us know what you think. Do you think Michigan can win this game with our style? Do you think Washington on a fast track can do what they need to do to slow our style of play down so that we can't win the game? Um, maybe. TCU. I hope we learned our lesson and we're not too cute, like the one question that was asked. I hope we're not going to get too cute. Um, and we really shouldn't because the weakness of this Washington team is up front. Um, and I think if we bang away at them, by the time the third quarter comes, they're going to be hands on the knees, huffing and puffing, with the tender fingers and the tender forearms. Um, and I don't think they have the depth that Michigan does at their positions. Hold on, let me just look real quick at our lads. Nope. Um, let me look at our lads real quick and find out if They have the depth at, you know, senior positions on their team. Let me see. Okay, so we got that. And we have, let me open it up to Washington. Just bear with me for a second. I'm just opening Washington's team roster. Because I want to be sure what I'm telling you is accurate. Come on, don't give me a commercial. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So junior, transfer, junior, freshman. Yeah, they got depth. Washington has depth. They sure do. They got depth at their D line. I don't know how good they are. I didn't really study into their depth, but I do know that they're susceptible to pin and pull. I do know that they're susceptible to duo runs. I know they are susceptible. I know that if Texas would have ran the ball just a bit more, um, they probably would have won that game, and then we would have been talking about a whole different beast in the championship game to play against. At least you know you're getting somewhat of a one-dimensional dog in Washington when you play them, so you know how to get ready for the game. Um, will we see speed option, read option, and some running game? Yeah, because they got to stay balanced, you know. But if they get in trouble or they're looking to be aggressive, you're going to see Washington throwing that football. I don't think you're going to see them passing the ball when if they absolutely need to. So Michigan wins the game by 10 to 14 points. It won't be a blowout, but Michigan will be in control of the game in the third quarter. That's what I predict. Because I don't think Harbaugh is going to allow that team to control the game. He's going to want to control the pace of the game from the beginning, play bang ball, play bully ball, play clock ball, and manage the game from his vantage point. And he has the dogs to do it up front. He's got the dogs to do it in the backfield. Our receivers, which is an asset, our receivers block just as well as our offensive linemen. So I don't know if Washington's receivers block well for their running backs. So we'll be in it running the ball if nothing else. Michigan wins the game by 14. That two scores or more, and we will be national champions during a season where it's going to be so sweet due to all of the, you know, media blitzing and the media hype and the media crap and Harbaugh, missing 6 games out of the season. And we got a veteran team, man, and they are hungry for this. I can't see Blake Corum and JJ allowing this opportunity to slip. I can't see our offensive line allowing this opportunity to slip. I can't see our defense, as senior and mature as it is, allowing this opportunity to slip. It's going to be a good game. Our safeties and corners are going to be challenged, but I think Michigan will prevail. This has been a Big House Breakdown, live football sports, FBS Sports Talk. This has been our championship game preview, question, and answer piece. We love you. A2 crew, stand up. Michigan versus everybody. Let's go. Win the big one. Stay tuned for our reaction show that we're going to do with this. Hopefully, I can get Michigan rants and I can get Chicago sports talks and a whole bunch of my old teammates on the show to give their, veteran opinion on what they saw. And we can have a great, instant reaction show when Michigan wins and is crowned as college football champions right here on the Big House Breakdown. Leave your comments, like, share, and subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you can see when you get another Big House Breakdown. Thank you to our sponsors. We need you guys. And as always, go Blue.